Good morning, everybody. I made it to the fourth corner last night, but it was the park was closed at 5:30. The Peace Arch documentation. I made it. So it's Peace Arch between Canada and the United States, and I started in Blaine. I had a hotel room about 200 yards from here. And there's Canada. I guess we walk in between the two. I was in Canada last couple weeks ago when I was driving through Ontario. Echo. Cool. 1814 open, 100 years, 1914. The gates never be closed. Yeah, well, COVID kind of changed that. Peace Arch Park. All right, so four corners complete, you know. There's the United States. Flowers, pretty. Okay, so what now? Done the four corners. I think it was just under 10,000 miles from Spokane to Madawaska, Maine. Fort Walton Beach was a soft corner because Hurricane Milton said I couldn't go any further south. And then San Diego, Yosemite or whatever it is, just to the south, San Diego. And then up here, I think I did it in 20 days. I'm not sure how many days I did it, but I'm all done. There you go. Beautiful spot. Really didn't know it was here like this. So, right on the water. Canada, United States, right there. It's kind of cool. Alrighty, bye-bye. So you can't drive up to the Peace Arch. So this nice lady who runs a concession stand, she'll hold a little arch above your bike to show that you've been there, which is nice. Nice lady. Anyway, you get on I-5, head south from Blaine, Washington. It's not nearly as busy as it was down in L.A. Heading south, we go down south through Bellingham, and then you make your way to Everett, and you get on Highway 2. We got on Highway 2. Me got on Highway 2. Headed eastbound finally. Go up through the mountains, through Stevens Pass. It really is pretty cool to watch the transition from the west side to the east side. You've got Doug fir, rain, and then you get to the east side and you get a lot more pine trees, and then all of a sudden you're in the desert. We drive through Leavenworth, Wenatchee, then you make our way down to I-90, get on I-90 again, head east back to Spokane. Looking at about 375 miles today, and it's a heck of a beautiful drive. One of the coolest transitions between environments that you'll see anywhere in the country. Alrighty, have fun. Come out of the mountains into the little beautiful German town of Leavenworth. It's kind of a touristy little spot, but my wife and I and the kids have been coming here for years. It's, after being stationed 6 years in Germany, it actually looks pretty good. Some of the half timber buildings are awesome. Shopping areas to the left and right, believe me, my wife Jonna has got that covered. And they have a Christmas market to the right. They close off the street. It looks like it is permanently now. And the Christmas market's super fun. Oktoberfest is fun. All sorts of good restaurants. This is our favorite hotel on the right, called the Post Hotel. authentically built. All the stuff comes from Europe. It's absolutely incredible. Now, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. I think it's costing like $500 a night at least, and that's on the weekdays, which is crazy. But when we stayed there, it was quite a bit cheaper. All sorts of great markets and restaurants, and German beer, German sausages. Absolutely love coming to Leavenworth. If you ever get a chance, make sure you make your way up there. It's just to the east, or correction, to the west of Wenatchee. One of my very favorite spots to come to, especially in wintertime when the markets are open.
Okay, guys, so interesting coming into Wenatchee. First of all, we were in the rainforest 35 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, and now you think I make a wrong turn at Albuquerque and ended up in Arizona. This is Wenatchee, and it is the high desert, and about half of Washington is actually kind of desert. So, anyway, if you didn't know. The other thing that happened in Wenatchee was I came across a motorcycle accident. I was coming down the main highway into Highway 2 into Wenatchee, just outside, and I saw a guy wave me down, and I pulled over, and there was a person struggling on the side of the road, and a motorcycle down, kind of wailing, if you will. I don't know. And of course, I stopped my bike, and it was a no shoulder, and it was a sloping shoulder where I was on, and guess what happened? I dropped my bike. Guess where it dropped? On the right side, and guess where my med kit is? On the right side, on my right bag. So I needed to get the bike upright to get my med kit out, which I did. I had somebody, bystander, help me get my bike straight up, and I got the med kit out and made it over to the victim. Told him I was a lifeline pilot, not a paramedic, but I had my med kit, and I'm pretty well trained in stabilizing a patient anyway. I could see that the patient was having a seizure, was posturing, and it was on some rocks, a kind of uncomfortable location, but helmet was still on. I couldn't find any other damage, any broken bones or any bleeding of any sort. So I just stabilized the best I could. It was a female. She started coming to of some sort, but I couldn't get her to answer her name, what her name was. and I just reassured her. And then she started pulling on her helmet. So one of the bystanders had some scissors. I cut her helmet strap off, and she pulled her helmet off. I tried to stop her, but anyway, police and paramedics showed up, and she was still, she wasn't posturing as much, but non-responsive. Checked her eyelids were dilating. Couldn't find any other injuries. Still wouldn't respond for about 5 minutes, or wouldn't respond the whole time I was with her. Paramedics showed up, and we put her on a backboard, C-spine, and that was it for me. Cops took my name, thanked me, and back on the road. Now, my bike's got a little bit of damage to my right turn signal. It's cracked. I'll take it. I dropped it twice on this trip. That one was just another. It's always silly when you drop your bike, but that's the only damage that I could see. But beautiful day here going over the pass. It was raining and 40. Now it's 69 degrees and sunny. That's just the way it is. And when you come from western Washington, eastern Washington, it's so different. It's just nice to be over here. I always feel like I'm at home when I get back into the high desert. Tremendous amount of orchards off the right, fruit trees and vineyards. I think we're coming up here. The whole valley of the Columbia River Valley up here by Wenatchee to Yakima is just, look at this, how beautiful it is. Those are grapes. And then we'll come up to the shelf on the city of Quincy, and it is just orchards left and right. And all the irrigation comes from the Columbia River. And it used to be just solid desert. Now they've irrigated it. They call it the Department of Reclamation. I've never understood that, because what are they reclaiming? They're claiming because it wasn't an area where orchards grew before, maybe ancient times. But anyway, it's beautiful, and it's kind of strange because you see the contrast with the extreme desert, and I mean desert. We're talking rattlesnakes, scorpions, 110 degrees in the summertime. We do our desert training not far from here for the survival school, SEER training to be a SEER specialist. But you would think you were back in Arizona, wouldn't you, when you look at those rocks? But you got the vineyards right there. Oh, and all the apple tree orchards. Beautiful and strange.
All right. When you're coming in on I-90 from the west to the east, and you want to tell your wife whereabouts you're at when you're coming home, you start saying you're getting into the trees, and that gives her a good frame of reference of how close you are. So here we are, I-90, just getting about 20 minutes outside of town as we hit the trees again, because there was no trees from the Cascades to right about here. It's kind of cool. Another great marker when you're coming into town is coming down the hill off of I-90 from the east, and you start seeing the town showing up. And it's just a great feeling that you're really home. You got Deaconess Hospital on the right, and just a few minutes to get home.
There's Miss Jonna. Waiting for me to come in. Hi, sweetie.
Hi. He's home.
Have a kiss.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay.
Mwah.
Made it. Oh, lovely house. It's your spot. All right. Thank you.
All right, my beautiful home in Spokane. Left there 27 days earlier. Took me all around the United States on that Four Corners attempt. Started out on day one. I left Spokane and went through Missoula, Montana, up to Great Falls, Montana. After that, day two, took off, went north, and then due east through Glasgow, where I broke down, and then made it to Minot. Stayed there one night. From Minot, went on to Bemidji, Minnesota, through my dad's old home in Carlstead, Minnesota. After that, took off from Bemidji and went down to Duluth, Wisconsin, through northern panhandle of Michigan, and then down upper peninsula of Michigan, then down to Gaylord, Michigan. The next day, head off just north of Detroit, went into Canada, went up to Buffalo, New York, and stayed the night in Rochester. From Rochester, went up to Watertown, New York, where my son lives and his wife and kids. Met my wife there. Stayed 2 days there, and then I moved up through Quebec, up down into the first corner of Madawaska, Maine. After Madawaska, Maine, worked my way down to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Southampton, and stayed with my sister-in-law and her family. Then worked my way down through Boston and New York, down to Columbus, New Jersey, from other friends, and then from there worked all the way down to Florence, South Carolina, one of the longest days. I think that was 630 miles. From there, a real short day, went to see my son. I met my wife there again in Augusta, South Carolina, North Augusta, South Carolina. From there, went through Fort Rucker down to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Fort Walton Beach, Florida, stayed with friends, had a great time. Decided to head north because I couldn't go south because of Hurricane Milton. Went to Memphis, got some ribs and catfish. Worked my way to Oklahoma City, where I got my 12,000-mile maintenance done on my bike. And then worked west from there to Tucumcari, New Mexico. Albuquerque, awesome time, Balloon Fest, green chilies. Then worked up to Monument Valley, Utah. Then up to Moab, Utah, where I stayed with friends again. Moab, went through Capitol Reef National Park, Zion, and then to St. George for the night, Utah, and then to Vegas for a night. Went on a helicopter ride there, had an awesome time. Worked my way through Lake Havasu, back down to California to San Diego for the third corner. From San Diego, worked north up to Salinas, California for the night. Had a great lunch along the way. From there, went north up to Fort Bragg, California. Stayed there one night. Fort Bragg to Brookings, Oregon, some dear friends, and stayed there for one night. And then along the Oregon coast, coastal highway, just up to Lincoln City and cut over to Salem. Went by my old college and then to Portland for my 40th high school reunion. And then from there, worked all the way up north to Blaine, Washington for the fourth corner. Stayed one night and then shot on down through Stevens Pass, Wenatchee, and back to Spokane. All done.